Forget everything you've been told about next-generation air power. The timeline has just been shattered. While analysts predicted a distant future of sixth-generation fighters, the United States has been building them in plain sight, with operational deployment now measured in months, not decades. Two separate programs moving at breathtaking speed are poised to deliver capabilities so revolutionary they will render every existing Air Force on Earth a generation behind overnight. Welcome to Titan Horizon, the strategic shockwave. Forget everything you've been told about next-generation air power. The timeline has just been shattered. Most of the world never even realized the race had already begun, operating under the assumption that sixth-generation fighters were still a distant, theoretical future. That illusion was shattered in a coordinated, silent ambush. The United States is not building one new fighter, it's executing two fully funded parallel programs, the Air Force's F-47 NGAD and the Navy's FA-XX, each designed to dominate their respective domains years ahead of any adversarial timeline. This is a strategic shockwave, a deliberate move to reset the global balance of air power before our rivals even finish calibrating their radars. While competitors were analyzing fifth-generation threats, America was already flight testing the systems that would make them irrelevant. The revelation of this dual-track approach sends a chilling message. We aren't just aiming for air superiority, we are building an inescapable reality of air dominance. As General David Alvin stated, this is about delivering a crushing advantage that complicates an adversary's calculus from the moment a conflict is considered. The existence of two distinct, complementary sixth-generation platforms creates a multi-front nightmare for any potential foe, stretching their defenses and resources beyond any reasonable limit. This is not merely an advancement, it's a structural dismantling of their entire defense strategy, achieved before a single official production model has even rolled out. The shock isn't just that we built it, it's that we built two and did it in the shadows. But this strategic masterstroke would mean nothing without the sheer, terrifying capability of the machine built to rule the skies. The Air Force's F-47, the Sky Dominator. But this strategic masterstroke would mean nothing without the sheer, terrifying capability of the machine built to rule the skies. Enter the F-47 NGAD, the Air Force's designated Sky Dominator, an aircraft engineered not just to win fights, but to end entire conflicts before they truly begin. Its most immediate advantage is its staggering combat radius, a reach of over 1,000 nautical miles that allows it to strike deep into the heart of the most heavily defended territories, loiter with lethal patience, and return home without ever begging for a vulnerable tanker. This range is the key that unlocks the Pacific, systematically dismantling decades of anti-access strategy our pacing threat has invested in. But the F-47 is far more than a simple shooter. It is a flying command center, a battlefield quarterback that controls a loyal pack of AI-driven drone wingmen. Each F-47 acts as the brain for a distributed aerial pack, directing drones to scout, jam, attack, or even sacrifice themselves to protect their manned leader. This means when the Air Force talks about buying 185 F-47s, they are really deploying 185 individual strike cells, a scalable and resilient force that can blanket a battle space. The name itself, F-47, is a deliberate echo of history, honoring the P-47 Thunderbolt that helped secure air superiority over Europe, and the year 1947, when the Air Force became its own branch, a name laden with the weight of legacy and expectation. And then there is its cloak, the classified Stealth Plus designation. This is not merely an improvement, it's a generational leap into multispectral invisibility, a combination of new metamaterials and shaping that makes it not just hard to detect, but a ghost that actively confounds and deceives the most advanced sensors on Earth. As one Pentagon report summarized, this creates an unmanageable dilemma for any integrated air defense system. The F-47 doesn't just penetrate contested airspace, it owns it, becoming an invisible, persistent, and utterly decisive presence. Yet, for all its dominance over land and sea, the F-47 cannot operate from where much of America's power is projected, from the decks of our aircraft carriers. And that is where a completely different, yet equally revolutionary predator is waiting in the wings, the Navy's F-A-20, the carrier's shadow. Yet, for all its dominance over land and sea, the F-47 cannot operate from where much of America's power is projected, from the decks of our aircraft carriers. And that is where a completely different, yet equally revolutionary predator is waiting in the wings. The Navy's F-A-XX is not a navalized copy of the Air Force's jet. It is a sovereign design, born from the brutal realities of carrier warfare and the vast, deadly expanse of the Pacific. Its defining characteristic is extreme range, a combat radius that dramatically outstrips the Super Hornet, allowing the carrier strike group to operate from safer distances while still projecting devastating power deep inland. This reach is its primary shield, but its survivability is multi-layered. It is engineered for the contested environment, balancing advanced, durable stealth with the structural fortitude to withstand the violent shock of a carrier arrestment. Where the F-47 is a sky dominator, the F-A-22 is a deep strike specialist built to deliver a heavier payload against high-value targets, from enemy ships to inland command bunkers, making it the tip of the spear in any major maritime campaign. In the Pacific theater, where every mile of ocean is a potential battleground, the F-A-XX becomes the invisible long-range fist of the carrier group. It is the shadow that moves ahead of the fleet, a persistent, penetrating presence that can blind enemy sensors with its own electronic warfare suite, command its own loyal wingman drones for reconnaissance and attack, and deliver a knockout blow before an adversary even confirms the carrier's location. As emphasized by Admiral Michael Gilday, this capability is non-negotiable for sea control. The F-A-XX ensures that the immense power of the American carrier remains relevant and decisive, even in the face of sophisticated anti-access threats. It is the guarantee that our carriers will not just survive, but will dictate the terms of any conflict from the first moment. But the existence of these two incredible machines raises a critical question. How did America pull off this technological and industrial miracle, delivering two separate sixth-generation fighters years ahead of schedule?
The secret to the speed, America's new playbook. But the existence of these two incredible machines raises a critical question. How did America pull off this technological and industrial miracle, delivering two separate sixth-generation fighters years ahead of schedule? The answer lies in a brutal, silent lesson learned from the F-35 program, a lesson that forced the Pentagon to tear up its old playbook and write a new one founded on speed, secrecy, and digital revolution. The F-35, for all its capabilities, became a cautionary tale of bureaucratic weight, where untested technologies were frozen into a design decades before they saw a runway, leading to catastrophic cost overruns and endless delays. The new strategy, championed by visionaries like Secretary Frank Kendall, was simple yet radical. Build fast, fail fast, and fix fast in the shadows. This meant that while the world was debating sixth-generation concepts, real, flyable prototype aircraft were already being tested at secret locations across the American desert, their data flowing not through paper reports, but through a unified digital universe. This is the era of digital engineering, where every bolt, sensor, and line of code for the F-47 and FAX exists first as a digital twin, a perfect virtual copy that can be stressed, flown, and broken in a supercomputer 1,000 times before metal is ever cut. This allowed engineers to iterate at the speed of thought, solving integration nightmares in simulation that would have grounded a physical program for years. This digital backbone is fused with a new acquisition agility, using secret contracts and special access programs to bypass the traditional, sluggish procurement bureaucracy, fostering a level of cross-service cooperation previously thought impossible. The result is a force that won't be trapped by a 30-year design cycle. These fighters are built with open architecture from the atom up, designed to receive new sensors, weapons, and AI capabilities through software updates as routine as a smartphones, ensuring they evolve yearly while adversaries are stuck trying to reverse engineer a version that no longer exists. As General Charles Q. Brown has stated, this creates a clock speed that our rivals cannot match. We are no longer just building a better fighter. We have built a better system for building fighters, a perpetual innovation engine that traps our adversaries in a permanent and ultimately futile game of catch-up. Yet, even the most brilliant command node and the most revolutionary production system would be nothing more than a theoretical advantage without the physical force to execute its will. A force that arrives not in a single airframe, but in an overwhelming, intelligent swarm. The wingman revolution, multiplying the force. Yet even the most brilliant command node and the most revolutionary production system would be nothing more than a theoretical advantage without the physical force to execute its will. A force that arrives not in a single airframe, but in an overwhelming, intelligent swarm. This is the wingman revolution, the final piece of the puzzle that transforms the F-47 and FAXX from sophisticated fighters into an entirely new form of combat power. A distributed, collaborative system where a single pilot doesn't just fly a jet, but commands a personalized aerial army. We are talking about collaborative combat aircraft, sophisticated drones like the YFQ-42 and YFQ-44 that are far more than remote-controlled toys. They are attritable, AI-powered assets, each capable of specialized missions from high-risk reconnaissance and lethal strike to sophisticated electronic attack and serving as sacrificial decoys. This is the single biggest leap in air combat since the invention of the jet engine itself. Imagine the dilemma for an enemy commander. Their radar screens don't show one or two stealthy contacts, but a sudden, chaotic swarm of a dozen or more signatures flooding their airspace. While they are desperately trying to sort real threats from decoys and their systems are being blinded by dedicated jamming drones, the manned F-47 remains hidden, a ghost in the machine, calmly assessing the entire battle space and directing the swarm's lethal dance. This is how you collapse an anti-access/area denial bubble, not with brute force, but with sheer, unmanageable complexity. As Dr. Will Roper famously envisioned, this creates affordable mass, a force where we can accept the loss of a drone that costs a fraction of a manned fighter, while our adversaries are forced to expend their limited and precious high-end missiles. This quantum leap is what Secretary Frank Kendall has called the core of next-generation air dominance. The pilot becomes a battlefield quarterback, calling the plays while the AI-driven team executes with superhuman speed and precision. This is not just an improvement in capability. It's a fundamental rewriting of the rules of engagement, creating a form of American air dominance so layered, so resilient, and so overwhelming that no existing or projected air defense system on Earth has a credible answer for it. We have moved beyond a contest of platforms to a contest of systems, and our system now thinks, adapts, and strikes as one. But even the most powerful swarm needs a brain. And the ultimate strategic advantage lies not just in dominating the skies today, but in controlling the technological tempo of the conflict for the next 50 years. The unbeatable timeline, the decisive decade. But even the most powerful swarm needs a brain. And the ultimate strategic advantage lies not just in dominating the skies today, but in controlling the technological tempo of the conflict for the next 50 years. This brings us to the final and perhaps most crushing element of America's sixth-generation strategy, the unbeatable timeline. While our pacing threat is celebrated for unveiling flying prototypes, a stage we passed in secret years ago, the United States is already moving into the phase they can only dream of: serial production, operational deployment, and the cultivation of an unbridgeable experience gap. The F-47 NGAD is slated for initial operational capability before the end of this decade, with the Navy's F/A-XX following closely behind. This means that by the time a rival nation manages to field a single squadron of their first-generation, sixth-gen fighter, the U.S. Air Force and Navy will already have hundreds of F-47s and F/A-XXs in service, each one a mature, combat-ready system, backed by a fleet of proven drone wingmen, a global support network, and most importantly, a generation of pilots and maintainers who have already mastered this new form of warfare. This is the compounding advantage of a head start measured not in years, but in entire development cycles. Our adversaries are facing a moving target that accelerates faster with each passing day. The digital engineering and open architecture we built these jets with means that the F-47 that rolls off the line in 2030 will be a fundamentally more capable aircraft than the one delivered in 2028, thanks to continuous software updates and hardware inserts. As Frank Kendall has articulated, this creates a kill web that evolves faster than any adversary can adapt. They are trying to solve a static equation, while we are constantly changing the variables. This timeline is a strategic weapon in itself, backed by bipartisan political will and a budget that treats these programs not as experimental projects, but as combat-ready necessities. The message from leaders like General C.Q. Brown and Admiral Michael Gilday is unified and clear. Hesitation is not an option. This decisive decade is not just about winning a technological race. It is about building an ecosystem of dominance, from the training ranges and simulation suites to the global logistics chain and the industrial base that is so deeply entrenched, so resilient, and so far ahead that it makes the very notion of catching up a geometric impossibility. We are not just building a new aircraft. We are building a new reality, and in this new reality, the very sky above becomes a domain of American sovereignty, a shield forged in innovation and a promise of security for the century to come.
So, there you have it. The blueprint for the next half-century of American air power is no longer a blueprint. It's a reality taking shape in hangars and on runways across the country. What you've witnessed here is more than just the arrival of new aircraft. It's the dawn of a new system of dominance built on speed, intelligence, and an unwavering commitment to maintaining the peace through overwhelming strength. If this glimpse into the future of American innovation stirred a sense of pride, share this story. Share it with your friends, your family, with anyone who believes in the power of American ingenuity to shape a safer world. We want to hear from you. Down in the comments, tell us what struck you most. Was it the sheer reach of these jets, the drone wingmen, or the secret speed of their development? What do you believe truly sets America's sixth-generation fighters apart from anything that has come before? And let us know if the story we told today brought the magnitude of this moment to life for you. This is not the end of the story. It is the first page of a new chapter written in the skies above us, ensuring that the future of air combat will be written our way. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.